Welcome, nature family, to another episode of Third Eye Prophets. And with me today, I got Truthseekah, or Truth. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself a bit more than that.
For sure, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, bro. Excited to be here with you and explore and talk about some of these topics that are near and dear to our hearts. And so, yeah, I'm a spiritual hip hop artist. I do spiritual hip hop, esoteric hip hop, and try to find ways to articulate um, the beauty that I found in life through spirituality and just the journey in general, and try to find poetic ways to share that. So I'm also an author. I have a book out and a podcast that I do as well. So those are the mediums that I'm using right now to share my message and just the arts and creativity, and trying to help and inspire people to look within and to find their own spiritual path as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mostly what I've seen from you is your music, and that's mostly what this show is about, is the
Mm-hmm.
musicians, people that found spirit self-realized and sharing the nameless in words, which is actually not possible. But with music, you can actually get the frequency into someone's consciousness to realize it with words that are actually not the substance of what you're trying
For
to
sure.
explain.
For sure,
So
man. For sure.
music is really magical. Like, that's for sure what I've felt is the easiest way to wake up anyone, is to just put on a tune that someone can connect their heart to. Like,
Yeah, such an honor because I've had that music in my life of people that have inspired me and changed my life and helped me get through hard times, or have inspired me to think outside of the box and those kind of things. And music that I can put on right now that I'll just start crying when I hear it.
yeah, bro.
There's other music that makes me want to fight people. Like there's that
Yeah,
music.
for
I try
sure.
not to listen to that.
Yeah, same.
So there's all of these different types of music that we can listen to. So it's such an honor that I'm able to create and kind of be the soundtrack for somebody's spiritual awakening, and
Yeah,
and know that the music has power to change people's lives.
exactly. That's a true honor to make the music that wakes
Sure.
someone up. It's like, it's a miracle in itself. I'm
Oh
just
yeah, for
gonna
sure.
spark a doob, praise the Jah. But if we get into it, like, how did you wake up? Like, what was it that made you wake up?
Mm. Yeah, I would say, I've been saying this on a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews lately, is that I try to trace things back to stuff that happened in my life, especially early on. When I was 4 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night, and was pinned down to the bed by these shadow beings on each side of me,
Like sleep
and holding
paralysis.
sleep paralysis, holding
Yeah.
me down to the bed. So that determine like the type of movies that we rented when we went to the video store as a teenager, the type of stories that we would tell at sleepovers, telling ghost stories, and I would try to find ways to weave that story in. So obviously there's a lot of things that happened in my life monumentally, but I think that the seed was planted, at 4 years old, of having this supernatural encounter that left me questioning and left me seeking, even at 4 years old.
Yeah, that's early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And from that, you already started questioning life from having those
Yeah.
experiences. That's really early, man. Like, honestly, that's the earliest I've ever heard anyone start having
Yeah. I
questions
mean, I
about.
wouldn't say that I was fully awake or anything like that,
No,
but
no,
it
no,
just
but
like you can tell that you could trace everything back,
yeah, for sure.
whether it was trauma for good or for bad,
Yeah.
and honestly, I got into as a misguided teen, got into spirituality through the dark path. I went through um the easy, low hanging fruit, if you will, the easy stuff like Satanism and Wicca, and trying to make pacts with demons and
Yeah.
stuff like that, doing all these rituals and stuff like that within all the witchcraft books as a teenager, and ended up getting sick, mentally, spiritually, physically sick, by inviting demonic lower level entities into my life to make pacts with them, and ended up opening up a portal in my mind by doing
Yeah.
all of these rituals, it was torment for me as a teenager, as 15 years old is all when all this stuff kind of came to a head for me.
Yeah. I've never experienced it personally, like dark rituals and stuff like that, but for sure, low entities of darkness we all have been attached to during this lifetime.
For
But
sure.
and black magic is the whole society is basically black magic. So, but so from that, how did you turn it around? Like, when did you
Yeah.
find
So
a light?
a few years before that, um, I had went to a prayer meeting and gave my life to Christ at a prayer meeting, and I never wanted to go to church or to a prayer meeting as a teenager. I think I was 13, and a friend of mine, he was kind of like a big brother type, and he would always invite me to church. I said, no, I don't want to go, don't want to go. Try to ask me to go to a prayer meeting. No, I don't want to go. He said, you need to come to this one. I said, why? He said, well, there's going to be a prophet there. I said, well, what's a prophet? He said, a prophet is kind of like a Christian psychic.
Yeah,
And at me, 13, like being into this kind of stuff, I'm like, that sounds cool. I want to
yeah,
go.
exactly.
So I go to the prayer meeting, and it was just a beautiful atmosphere in somebody's apartment. They had beautiful music playing, like music was there. And people had their eyes closed and their hands lifted, and they were praying and they were singing, and it seemed like they were in a different realm, like they had tapped into something. They wasn't there. Even though
Yeah,
I'd seen them in the room, I felt like they were somewhere else, somewhere peaceful,
yeah,
somewhere blissful. And so a man came, sat on the couch next to me and said, hey, Derek, would you like to ask Jesus to forgive you of your sins? And even by 13, I had done a lot of stupid stuff and a lot of hidden stuff, and that I was ashamed of.
yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'd like that. And so he led me on this prayer of kind of acknowledging Christ and what he did on the cross and that thing, and asking him to come to my heart and forgive me. And I prayed that. And when I did, I just started to shake, and I started to cry and weep. And this beautiful bliss came over me and like cleansed me out. And it was fire. It came upon me and went through my body and cleansed me from all the wrong that I had ever done and all the lies I ever told and cheated and stealing and all the stuff that nobody knew about me, that I was trying to hide from God or hide from people, if you will.
Yeah.
It like, I felt forgiveness in those areas. So at 13, I had this supernatural encounter. I'm weeping and shaking and trembling. I got baptized with the Holy Spirit.
That's
So
powerful, man.
that changed my life. That's a monumental thing,
Yeah,
And so it didn't last long. I ended up falling away and getting back deeper into the
yeah,
occult because I knew stuff was real. So when I was at my worst in the occult and in the demonic stuff, I remembered that peace that I had just a couple years before. Man, I listen, I would sit on the couch when everything was really deep, and these spirits would pull me into a trance. I'd be in mid conversation and I'd get stuck, and I would turn pale, I wouldn't breathe, and my heart would start racing. And
well,
I'd sit there and they'd pull me into a portal and start trying to talk to me in foreign languages. And it was a bunch of colors and shapes and faces and stuff going around, and I'm stuck and I can't breathe, and it's scary. I'm just crying, and I come back to my body and catch myself like, oh man, what the heck, And
yeah,
I couldn't control it. I couldn't understand what they were saying. It started to play tricks on my mind and speak to me, and I started seeing shadows running through my house and stuff watching me at the corner of my eye. Everything that I watched on TV became real. Like the television became a portal of stuff that was going on in my head.
yeah,
um I was heightened senses of ESP, but I couldn't see angels and beautiful things.
yeah,
I saw demons, decay, and darkness that I could see in people, and they would speak. Like the demons that were in other people would speak to me through their eyes, so I couldn't look at people. I'd go out in public and I'd do this as a
yeah,
teenager because I was crazy. I was going schizophrenic
yeah,
because of making pacts with these entities, man. And so I did all of these rituals and all of these spells, and like none of them worked out of like all the books
yeah.
until they all worked at the same time.
Oh, fuck.
And then I couldn't turn it off or on. I was at their demise, like I was at their will, and it was scary. And I was gonna have to go to a mental hospital or something. And so at that lowest point in my life, I remembered that peace that I had. Like I remembered that prayer meeting and these people in this beautiful bliss. And I was there for several months, until I rejected that. And so I knew that it was possible. I knew that there was a better experience out there for me. And so I kind of like renounced all of that stuff and asked God to forgive me and got rid of everything in my home that resembled that.
Yeah.
And that was in September of 2000. And I rededicated my life back to Christ. And so I've kind of been a Christian ever since. And obviously that's evolved over the years, and I would consider myself a Christian mystic, but my foundation, is that beauty, that bliss that I found through what we'll call Christ. And so I bring that into my music, I bring that into my study, my spirituality, my life. And so that's definitely my foundation. So that's how everything turned around for me, just knowing that I needed to come back to the very thing that I was running from.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've already experienced it, so you knew where you were gonna go for the
Yeah,
forgiveness.
I knew there was a height of spirituality, or at least something beautiful, and
Yeah.
then I found that there was a polarity to
Yeah.
it.
Like
Like,
a
this doesn't exist without this existing as well. And there's a choice. We're in the middle,
yeah.
and we get to choose on this spectrum of light or shades of gray, what um, you know, what we want to experience and encounter, and the type of people that we want to be.
Yeah, or even keep it neutral if you just want to do that.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, you're faring out pretty good if you can keep it neutral and not fall into the darkness, right? Hmm.
yeah, for sure. It's a powerful thing to hear about. Like I have never personally experienced anything more than just cleansing the programmings that were attached to me from society normally. Like
Yeah. Well,
not
that's a lot of darkness too, man.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, but that's even more. So that's just it's important to show people that duality or polarity even exists in higher realms or outside of this place. So
yeah,
know what we're playing with is really important.
yeah. I'm still learning every day, and trying to find ways to articulate this and what it looks like spiritually. But it is the law of polarities. It is the law of um, cause and effect, and there has to be consequences.
And
You
choice,
know,
yeah. So you just
free will
yeah,
is the name of
exactly.
the game.
Yeah, it's a free sandbox. You can really do whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, at, the law of sowing and reaping. If you plant a seed today, if you plant an apple seed, and it gets sunlight and it gets water,
Yeah,
6 months from now you can come back and something's going to be growing there. So we have to be careful of those seeds that we're planting in our life, and those seeds are our words, our beliefs, and everything that we're doing. So if we're conscious of that, that's the thing, to be lucid in the dream,
yeah,
to know that everything that I touch, everything that I say will come back to visit me. And so I love the Bible. Like, the Bible is, in my opinion, the most like esoteric and metaphysical book that is layered with truth, and layered of our spiritual anatomy and our psyche and the heavens with astrotheology and the
yeah,
sun, but even very on a practical level of just looking at how Jesus treated people and stuff like that.
yeah. The
So
love is real in the Bible for sure.
yeah, that's what it's showing you, man. Listen, love your enemies, bless them that curse you. If they slap you, turn to on your right cheek, turn the
Yeah,
left also. Like, it's a book of ascension.
yeah,
It's like, hey, if you want to go up the these levels of ascension, and turn into light, to build your light body,
yeah.
literally, then live like this, love like this, see people like this, see the potential in people and in situations.
Yeah, I truly like one of my favorite things to do is try to read all the religions books.
Yeah.
Like like I don't stay to one and say I'm this or that, and I understand if you do, because it doesn't matter which one you choose. All is just aspects of the one. So
Yep.
I right now I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita, and it is basically the same thing. They're explaining everything the same about the heavenly planes, and that there's demonic hellish planes, if you want to call it that. If you choose, for example, they say if you choose to eat meat all the time, the next life maybe you'll be a tiger that constantly chases desires to kill. Like, and you'll be stuck in that, and you'll be stuck in an animal loop until, and it can go to other planets and stuff like that. So for me, it's like truly, if you're reading from awakened mind, all of the religions are saying the same thing. Like it's truly,
Yeah, you got to have a modality. You got to have I say you got to, it helps to have a modality. It helps to have tenets. It helps to have um prayer and devotion, you know. And so a lot of people, even with, you know, the idea of being able to choose and pick and stuff, like it can easily wind up in a place of confusion because you're always seeking the truth but never coming to a place where you can apply it,
yeah,
because this one said that and this one says this. Well, this one says you can't eat meat. Well, this one says you can eat fish, you
yeah,
know. And so there's all, and still, so like I'm really big on finding that modality that works for you, finding that practice that um you can glean from, and you can learn from. And so, but yeah, all of them, I think that at the core, you know, there's universal law,
yeah,
you know. And
exactly.
so if it's true for one, it's true for somebody else. There's no reason why this person can do something and it works for them, but it doesn't work for somebody else. If the system works, if you work it.
Yeah, the one who is based on it, the prophet in each religion is truth.
Yeah.
It's not you or me or anyone else, or it's the same being every time. We
Yeah.
just call it Krishna or Christ or
Mhm.
Shiva or whatever we want to call it, Jah. Like, so it's truly just when you're reading things from separation, it's easy to get lost in even the Bible. Like, then you
Oh
can
yeah,
start
for sure.
feeling ashamed and guilty and all of these things. And those were the things I saw when I grew up. So I became atheist and was against and called religious people stupid and all these things
Mhm.
that you do when you're in the ego mind. But then, like, for me, it was like I took drugs, I took acid, and all of a sudden I got some really good acid. And I took 3 big drops, like 500 micrograms. And it's interdimensional travels through all the dimensions. I meet my higher self. I walk through dimensions. I have chats with like light balls. I get shown everything, my past lives, the future,
Wow.
like everything has happened. And after that, my whole life just poof. After that, I choose love every time. And I will never choose anything else than love. Even if I get lost in the sauce, I know love is the truth.
That's awesome. That's what it is, man. If you can, you know, no matter how you get to that, you know, we got to respect it, you know.
Yeah.
And the, you know, the, like you said, the egoic mind says, no, it can only be done this way. It can only be done this way. Um, you know, but it's been able to see that way that you're talking about has many paths to get to it. But obviously, the gate is love. The
Yeah.
gate is honor. The gate is respect and gratitude and peace and joy and bliss. And however you want to, however you lead to that gate, I still believe that that's the gate, right?
Yeah.
That we pass through, and that, you know, all religions or all spiritual practices have to kind of pass through that gate of love and light. And you may not start there, you know, you may end there, but you know, whether it's spiritual traditions or, you know, the plants that have their, you know, they're keepers of this knowledge and wisdom as well, and
Yeah.
they'll help lead you along the way as well, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, it's like the ego mind and truth and love and source. It's just like the ego mind is Satan. It's a gatekeeper of the door, the gate of heaven. And
For
Satan
sure.
stands before it and tells you a bunch of lies that you suck and you're not worthy and other people are shit and all these things. And until
Yep.
you don't believe it, until you detach from it and observe it and love it without any judgment, and you love
Yeah.
all the judgments and all the things because they're not separate, and then you love him, and then you get to enter into the gates of heaven. And how you
Yeah.
did that doesn't matter if it's psychedelics or you meditated and you observed or whatever you did. Once you're there, you're there.
Yep. Yeah,
And
it's understanding that, you know, again, on the, you know, psychological level, the egoic mind, and, you know, the Satan, and even on, you know, the spiritual level. But yeah, I have a tremendous amount of respect for whatever we call Satan or the devil, or even those demons that almost took me out. Like, not everybody gets out of that. People are in mental hospitals and straitjackets right now. People take their own lives because those
yeah,
entities tricked them and were, you know, too overbearing for them to handle. So I have a lot of respect as far as like a fear, but it's a healthy fear, a fear in the terms of a reverence. Like, hey man, I respect you.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not going to run through gang territory wearing a rival gang t-shirt
Yeah.
because I'm not afraid. No, you ain't got to be afraid, but you need to respect,
Yeah, for sure.
you know, this land, this ground. And so I respect, you know, the entities because they have a job to do. Satan has a job to do, and he does it very well, you know.
Yeah, perfectly. Everybody's playing the role perfectly.
Yeah, I respect the game, and so obviously, if you respect the game, then you respect the one who created the game, you know, with the
Yeah.
rules and regulations and stuff. So that's where, you know, we call God or spirit or source comes in. That we have this relationship with the creator of it all. You know, we're made in that image and likeness, and all of that that's happening up here. It's happening up here first.
Yeah.
Astrotheology, the sun and the planets, and Saturn is Satan, right? It's happening up here. It's happening here. It's happening here in our bodies, in our hearts, and it's happening in the spirit realm around us. So all of these truths that if there's any truth to them, they're going to be truth on every level.
Yeah.
On every level there's going to be, you can read it in astrology, in astronomy, you can read it within your anatomy, you can talk to Freud about the psychology and the stuff that the egoic mind goes through, and choosing good or evil, or fighting with your demons and wrestling with God. But
Yeah.
also in the spiritual world, and those who are privy or who have trained themselves through their eye to be able to see the beings and the energies, if you will, that are at war on all of those planes of existence.
Yeah, for sure. It is something that's constant. I think the only point where it's not is the 0 point, where it's everything is formless, where it comes from. That would be the
That
only
would be
place.
God, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The formlessness and the void, and that's what it comes out of. That's the matrix.
Yeah,
Like that is this place where everything's being created, you know, and we create from that place too. Like that is the now moment.
yeah, right here, right
Most of
now.
us,
Yeah,
when we close our eyes, it kind of helps to be able to see it. um but literally, like, you bring stuff to that 0 point and you put stuff in it,
yeah,
and seed time and harvest, things will formulate and come back to you,
yeah, exactly.
like every day, every week, every month, every year, every 10 years. You know, the sun measures the day, and the moon counts the weeks and the month. The stars govern the years. And so for everything that we plant, for everything that we put into the matrix, so we render, it renders together and it comes back to you, just like a seed that we put in the ground. So when we're talking about manifestation, when we're talking about the law of attraction and creating things into this reality, you know, a lot of us want stuff instantly, but it has to go through this process of gestation and this
Yeah,
incubation period, just like a child that enters the womb of a woman. You know, the term matrix is actually a biblical term, and it means the womb. So it shares it like the womb of a woman, or something that um it's the same word, but obviously it has spiritual connotation with it as
yeah,
well. The things that we bring forth spiritually, the things that we're doing that nobody knows about, that God knows about, right?
yeah,
And that stuff is rewarded, that stuff is rendered, and it's given back to you. So in my case, where I was doing a lot of wickedness and robbing people, cheating, lying, stealing, and I put that stuff as an offering, if you will, into the matrix. A
yeah,
couple months later, it came back, you know, and I got to see it in the form of entities and of the stuff that I was entertaining, the life that I was living. And so the vibrational frequency that I was living on, there's
yeah,
beings that are on that level. It's very low. And I got to meet them. I got to tap in. At this point, when I tap in, I don't I don't worry about any of that. I'm not visited by those things. They really can't mess with me unless I give them the right to, unless I
exactly.
stoop down to their level.
Yeah, unless you feed them, unless you react to them, like,
Yeah. If you throw food outside of your window, like literally, if you open the window and just throw food out, you're gonna have dogs and animals and bugs. You're gonna have all types of creeping things that come and feed off of that food. But once the Bible talks about like some demons are only rebuked or come out of or off of a person through prayer and fasting. So you have to starve it out. Like you got to quit feeding that thing. That thing has access to your life because you're feeding it. Like if I quit throwing food out this window, those dogs are going to go look for food elsewhere. Those birds, you know, the bugs and the insects that are all around my window and coming in the house. And if you leave your window open, the bugs they're coming in. So if you whatever you stop feeding, we'll have to find food somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you could tell yourself life sucks over and over again. And then every time that thought shows up, you will believe it
Yeah.
until you make the choice to be like, no, life is amazing. A new mindset. And then no matter how many times that thought shows up, the
Yeah.
more you don't react to it, it just fades away by itself. So it's not that you need to fight the old, you just need to love it, accept it for what it was and what it served a purpose at one point in your life, to have some kind of egoic mind to
Mm-hmm.
move through our lives, and even those
Yeah.
victim mindsets and stuff. So it's really about accepting that it was a part of you and it doesn't have to be. And reinventing the mindset, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Well, it being in darkness helps you appreciate the light.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
for sure.
turned all the lights off in here and we couldn't see each other, but once the lights on, it's like, oh wow, now there's
Yeah,
illumination. Now we can see. Um, you can see your flaws. You can see the things that you don't like about yourself.
yeah,
So the light is manifest into the world to reveal those things so that now there's no excuse. So now there's a contrast of light, of spectrum, and of darkness. Those who sat in darkness beheld a great light. So that's where I think gratitude comes in. I think that's where um, to be thankful. You don't appreciate real friends until you've had some fake friends around you.
yeah, that's
you know
true.
and
Yeah,
then when you get real friends, you're like, hey, I need to hold on to these guys because I had friends that would come over to my house and I turn my head, they're
yeah,
stealing from me, they're trying to hit on my wife when I turn my head. Come on. So when you get real friends around you, it's like, hold on, man, like you got to respect that. So there's a contrast. Now I can judge righteously
to
according
make
to my reality,
to
according
make
to
a
what I've
choice.
experienced you know
Yeah, yeah, you truly need the contrast of things. Like, you wouldn't know if there's light if there's not a shadow to prove there's a light.
hmm and you see the shadow when there's a light.
Yeah,
You can't see
exactly.
the shadow in the darkness. But when the light turns on, now there's a shadow. Now you can deal with it. Now you can see it. Most people don't even know it exists because they're in a place of darkness mentally and spiritually. But once they're in the light and they're open, now they're seeing things about themselves and doing that shadow work. Now they're able to commune with that shadow and know that even within that is polarity. And
Yeah,
there's things that actually help you. And you know the universe, God, whatever you want to say, it is really rooting for us to ascend, to
yeah,
bring light, not just outside of us but within us, because we are light beings. And so the more light that you have within you, the more that you shine bright. And that light comes through your eyes, your windows of your understanding, your mind, the electricity, that the way that you view the world, the way that you view people. So bringing more light within you helps you to um, release more light, because you can only be what you have within you. Out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. So if you
yeah,
don't have it within you, you can't release it, you can't give it to nobody. You can pretend, but until you go through that stuff and you've really submitted to the process, and you've got the scars or the badges to prove it, you really have nothing to show for it. But then once you do, your life is your testimony. Your life
yeah,
is the manifestation of what's possible.
yeah, for sure. And then in all of this, when did psychedelics get into the picture for you? Since you were early with mystical experiences and stuff.
hmm Oh, so I mean, I tried LSD early on. Once I did it at church, and it wasn't good. Not the best place to be. So I only had one experience with that, and that was like at 13. But honestly, I smoked a lot of marijuana as a kid. And so um, while my mind was still, forming and things like that. So I think I messed some stuff up with smoking so much marijuana as a adolescent. So I really haven't even returned to that. Just my relationship with it and what it does to my body, it affects me differently these days.
Yeah.
So, but my encounter with psilocybin back in around 2015, um, it was another level for me. It was it helped me get clear on my life, on my goals and what I wanted to do with life. I was at a working a job that I had been at for almost 10 years that I hated. And I've always been at jobs that I hated. I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted to be a podcaster. I wanted to be able to support my family. I have a wife and a daughter, and I wanted to be able to support them by doing what I love. But once you get up there in age, I was 33. um, you feel like you missed it. Like,
Yeah.
you should have started back in high school or college, or you should have started early on. And because there's no way I'm not making enough money to be able to support my family through the arts. And so you have to work a job that you hate. And that was the notion. A lot of people just by default, they think that that's what they're supposed to do. So psilocybin helped me get clear and show me what was possible and actually get a game plan
Yeah.
of like being taught by God saying, hey, I need you to stop doing this. I need you to quit doing that, because where you're going, you can't take this stuff with you. You can't take bitterness with you. You got to quit doing this, because there's levels to this. There's levels to ascension. There's levels that you have to unlock. And at that level of responsibility, of influence, you can't take this stuff with you. You got to leave it at that level. So to graduate, get it out of your life, get it off of you, and then the next stuff will come. So my first experience was with 2 grams in a float tank, sensory deprivation tank. And I just had to get out. I was in the float tank having a beautiful experience, and I had to get out because I had to write everything down. Like,
Yeah.
everything was just articulated on what I was going to be doing as a healer,
Yeah.
as a light worker, and how to do it. And something that seemed so far away. It was like, no, you already are a healer. It was this thing of like, you're going to become a healer. You're going to be able to get paid to do Reiki and do what you love for a living and those things. And it
Yeah.
seems so far away. I was like, how is this? It's like, no, you already are. You're not becoming, you're not going to be, you already are a healer. And so like God just began to show me things in my life of how I connect people together, and how my music was healing people, and how we do prayer sessions and stuff like that. Like, everything that I've had my hands on has been to bring about healing to the planet.
Yeah.
So it's like, listen, you already are.
Yeah.
And like, once I understood that, it helped me to move forward. So I'm not becoming, I already am. Everything that I need is already within me. And you can just look back over your life and see that. So that was with 2 grams, 2.5 grams. And so a couple months later, we did a hero dose. We went into the woods, and I did 5 grams. And so
Yeah.
that was, I thought, see, I was doing interviews and talking about psilocybin as an expert after doing 2 grams, because I had so much clarity. I had so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
stuff that came to me. It was so powerful, and I was doing interviews and talking about it. And so then we go to the woods for the hero dose. And it was we went with intention. It wasn't
Yeah.
just, hey, let's see what happens. Just like, listen, man, we're ready for the next phase. We want the next part in life. I'm ready. I'm here to learn. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I'm not here to experience. I'm here to learn. And so literally we did the golden teachers,
Yeah.
that's even in the name of the psilocybin mushroom. So I did it, and I thought it was going to be just very philosophical and analytical, just like it was the first time.
Yeah.
But it took me out of my body, man. It was
Yeah.
scary because I didn't know what was happening. It felt like ayahuasca or something.
Yeah.
Felt something pulling me, and it was scary. It was like uncomfortable because
It's
I
like
wasn't expecting
dying.
it. Yeah, I felt like dying. I'm going to die. It's over. I was like, I think we took poison mushrooms. I think
Yeah.
these were poison.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff is in your head. But my buddy's like, hey man, let it go. Stop fighting it.
Yeah.
Stop fighting it. No, man. I'm thinking of, should we call the cops? I
Yeah.
mean, if I go to the hospital, will this stop? And he's like, hey man, stop fighting. Let it take you. And then it's okay. Maybe this is it. I'm gonna stop fighting it.
Yeah.
And then the golden teacher showed up, you know, two beings, which hell could have been the damn beings that I saw at 4 years old. I
Yeah.
don't know. But two beings appeared. I didn't see them, I felt them.
Yeah.
And they began to teach me and begin to show me things and begin to ask me questions that they already knew the answers to. And I got really clear on it all. And the next couple months was about articulating that and working through it. And you know, people say that you can take psilocybin and microdose and deal with depression, and that's true. But I'll say this: there was a realm that I entered that, if I wasn't careful, it caused depression, because I was privy to all of these beautiful things within the universe and who I am in the eyes of God, and how limited this reality is, that as this incarnation, um that you need to do what you were put here to do.
Yeah.
And so going back to a job that you hate, you know, going back to bagging groceries, you know, that
No.
ain't gonna cut it, man. So people have these awakenings and then they say, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So that's what happened to me. So I ended up like going back to my regular job, and but just being privy and seeing so much. So it almost, I got depressed, but
Yeah.
it was a thing of like, hey, you got to do something.
It was showing you.
There's a dis-ease in your body. There's a dis-ease. You're doing something you weren't called to do. It's
Yeah.
preparing you,
You're
because now
going
there's a
against yourself.
contrast.
Yeah.
There's a contrast. I know what it feels like, at least spiritually, to get up and work on music for a living.
Yeah.
But I also know what it feels like to get up and clean toilets for 10 hours a day, 14 hours a day, for sure. So there's a contrast. So now there's instant gratitude that kicks in, you know. And so I just begin to you know, submit myself to that process, and search my heart and see if there's anything in me that is holding me back. If there's anything that God and the universe or the spirits are trying to teach me in this season that's going to prevent me from going to the next. And most of us go crazy with that, because I'm doing everything. I don't know what
Yeah.
else to do. I don't know what else to do. Nothing's working. It's like, okay, I'm still gonna. It wasn't until I hit it with gratitude. Like,
Yeah.
first there's this uneasiness, and well, I can't get to the next level. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna be here and be present. And be present on this job that I hate, because
Yeah.
this job is an answer to prayer. Like, I prayed for this job 10 years ago because I was at a worse job. And I asked God, I asked the universe for a better job, for an upgrade, and I got one.
Yeah.
But now I'm complaining about the very thing that I begged for.
Yeah.
You know, so it was about finding gratitude and contentment in it. And being
Yeah.
able to find that is what was able to unlock the door to the next level for me. And now, you know, shoot, this was in 2017, and I got let go from that job, and we took it as a sign. And I've been doing full-time music and podcast, and I'm an author, and I get to wake up and have conversations like this,
Yeah.
you know, for a living, and to promote my work and to help people. And the universe takes care of you. God takes care of you, you know, as long as
Amen
you're
to that.
submitted to that process, and you're doing it with clean hands and a pure heart, and there is no ill will. You're not trying to hurt people or deceive people, which is a contrast, because I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to wake up and see how I can deceive people, how I can rob people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but now I wake up, how can I bless somebody? How can I help somebody by sharing my story or creating a beautiful song, you know?
Yeah. Service to everybody. That's basically the way of love.
Yeah. So that's it, man. That's where I'm at. And
Yeah.
you know, psilocybin, you know, plant medicines and plant teachers are here to assist. And there's a lot more too. Like, I'm not addicted. I don't do it every weekend. I mean, I've only done it like really two, you know, monumental doses twice, and I'm good. Like, I'm good. Like, it would take a lifetime to really unpack the stuff I saw. Just like you know, talking about like all these messages that came from the light and from these beings and stuff. Like, there's people who next week they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And I had friends who were with me on that trip who went the next weekend to try to do the same thing. And that's what they had, a bad experience.
I've
Bad
done
experience.
like a crazy amount of psychedelics. Like after I found the light, I started taking like acid every day. Like
Yeah.
when I moved to Portugal for a while and lived in the mountains, I took like 37 drops one time, and that was also like completely out of this world. I started taking psychedelics every day. I never ever had a bad trip, except recently I took when I was not in a good headspace, and I resisted dying when I took like 5 tabs. And then that experience for a normal person would be traumatizing, like, because it was scary as fuck. It felt like I
Yeah.
was in a loop that I was spinning around, and it was like a demon head, and I moved back and forth between it in
Mm,
another dimension. I was trying to go back and forth, and I got in some like limbo bardo place
wow.
that was like super weird. Like, but
Wow.
I still love, like, I love interdimensional travel with psychedelics.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's one
Yeah.
of the most amazing things you can do and learn so much. But it you have to be willing to know that you cannot really live a normal life in the matrix of society. After, you will think that's boring. You will be depressed if you keep going to the same job
Yeah.
over and over again, like you said. It
Yeah.
is.
And I think that's why all this stuff's illegal.
Yeah.
Because they need people to flip burgers. They need people to sweep floors. Like, and that's cool. Like some people enjoy that. Let me
Yeah.
not project. But not me. I was called to do something else. I was like, whatever you're daydreaming about on that job, if you do, I'm in my head, man. So
Yeah.
I'm got ideas and music, and most of my albums I wrote on jobs that I hated. So there was this beauty of like, escapism and what I really want to be doing.
There was a
And
fire, like,
yeah,
yeah. That's the way
so
to really get to somewhere, is really have something, some passion that drives you no matter where you are.
yeah, and making it happen. Like I
Yeah.
said, I was just talking to my wife, like some people enjoy, changing oil in vehicles. Some people enjoy taking engines apart and putting them back together. Not me, I hate that stuff. So
Everything's
I
an
would rather
art,
pay
so
somebody for, my music, or my books or something creative, something to inspire people. And so, it's but I think that people should be able to do what they love if they want to, you
yeah,
know.
for sure. Like, in my opinion, psychedelics are God's consciousness. No matter if you take mushrooms, LSD, DMT, 5-MeO DMT, peyote, whatever you take, if you take a big enough dose, you go to the source of creation. And that
Yeah.
can appear in many different forms, and the different psychedelics can have a little bit of different forms, but they're all knowing. It's the light, the all forgiving, compassionate.
Yeah. Well, I think that everything and everyone, even in our waking moment, we all are sparks or emanations of God
for
experiencing
for
itself.
sure.
So
We
the
are that
same
God
way.
consciousness too, but we are so poisoned by this society with neuro things and fluoride and things, so our DMT isn't working properly. If you sit down and breathe for a while, and normal person on a society diet, they're not going to produce DMT. They're too stimulated by their phones and nicotine and caffeine and all these things. But in old days, if you just sat down when you were just eating fruits and things and stuff around you, and you breathe, you produce DMT easily when the pineal gland is.
Yeah. I think integration's a big thing, of like of it all, that stuff that's sacred, and seeing everything as sacred,
Yeah, for
seeing everything
all
as
is
holy.
God.
If you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. And so
Yeah,
that's the thing, to be able to see God in everything and to see the potential in everything. I think that that's what Christ was able to do. I think that he was able to see um, the beauty in that stuff that was broken, a broken heart,
that's
a
what we
broken
see, brother.
life, a broken mind.
Yeah, brother. We love everything. Everything is an aspect of the divine. It's no question
Namaste.
about it.
You know what I'm saying? Like namaste is like, listen, I salute you, man. No matter where you are on your journey, man. Like I salute you, and you're there for a reason,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
if you're listening, like, truly, like, you're on the way to touch the light, or you are the light. Like, it's time for this planet to shift into higher planes of existence. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna leave this body. Literally, we're gonna live with nature.
Yeah.
It's happening. I don't know if it's gonna take 100 years to transform, or 200, or 10.
Yes.
Something's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Like we're definitely going through an ascension process collectively. And what that is just people doing it themselves but it's multiplied because everyone's doing it. It's, you thought it was just you, but it's also your next door neighbor. It's also people all across the globe. It is the majority. So people talk about this 1%, you know, the 1%, and like our leaders and rulers, like this is a very small, you know, percent of people. And we can't judge life. We can't judge even reality off of the 1%, you know, but they do have a lot of people who are, you know, lulled and asleep and stuff like that. But it's time to wake up out of sleep, you know, and it's time to show people how to love. Don't just tell them, but show them. And that was the thing that really sticks out to me about Christ, you know, in the Bible, is the fact that the religious leaders would tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Don't do this, do not do that, don't. And Jesus would just, listen, let me show you, because I can show you better than I can tell you. Let me show you how to love people. Let me show you how to have compassion upon your enemies. Let me show you how to be content with whatever you have in life. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So to be able to be an example, to be a light unto people is definitely where it's at. And a lot of people are going through this experience, and a lot of people are waking up for sure, doing the
Yeah.
inner work.
Yeah, truly, because when you get to the point where you see Christ in everyone, you're technically not that God judges, but you're offending God if you're not treating everyone well. Like, God doesn't judge you because we're playing a game, but
Yeah.
if you're treating people not nice, like if you're putting people down, you're putting God down. You're being
Yeah.
mean to God.
Well, that's the scriptures, man. He said, Jesus says, you know, when I was sick, you guys came to comfort me. When I was in prison, you guys came to visit me. And he told the disciples that he's telling a parable. He's like, when were you in prison? You and that, we didn't come see you in prison. He said, listen, whatever you do to the least of these people out here, to the people in prison, to the people who are sick, you've done it unto me. Because I am in those people.
Yeah.
You got to be able to honor me in the very thing that you thought that I wasn't a part of.
Yeah.
For me, it was the demons. Like, that's the opposite of God. No, listen, I salute you. I think
Yeah.
you guys are doing your job really good, and it's part of it. So everything and everyone, you know, is an expression, and you got to train yourself to see that, you know, because if not, you're a victim.
Yeah.
You become a victim of circumstance and situations, and the way you were raised, and who didn't give you an opportunity, and your parents weren't there for you. Become a victim. But it's about healing and raising from that victim mentality to understand, no, I'm a victor. The
Yeah.
universe isn't trying to kill me. People aren't trying to destroy me. The universe is trying to help me,
Always in
you
your
know, moving
favor.
from paranoia to pronoia, man, knowing
Yeah.
that, listen, things are working out for your good if you believe it, but things are also working out for your detriment if you believe it. Whatever you believe shows itself to you.
Yeah. Reality really becomes what you believe.
Yeah,
Like once you
it's the
get
power
down
of our
to it.
minds. That's the
Yeah.
power of this music that, you know, I'm creating. You know, it's helping shift minds and shift consciousness, and letting people know that there's something greater available, even if it's just through creativity and the way I use words and the meaning, hitting meanings behind it. And just it's what the Bible is, man. Like,
As long as the intention is pure, like you can
it's
literally
embedded, it's
speak
encoded.
or dance or you can sing or you can write a book or like whatever you
And
fucking love to do, it's gonna work out.
even though people have ill intentions, the creator working through them has good intentions.
Yeah,
And that's only up for you to be able to see it.
that's true.
Because whatever you call it is what it becomes.
Yeah.
If you say it's good, it becomes good. If you say it's evil, it's evil. You know, and then you have something that separates you from that, whether that's psychedelics, whether that's religion, you know, because you have a negative connotation with it, you
Yeah.
know, like, you know, and that's part of this awakening, is to call no man evil, to call nothing good, even call nothing good, but
Yeah.
it's to be able to see the light, because nothing is created good. Everything is neutral,
Yeah.
but it is what we say it is.
Yeah, and neutral is divine if we're gonna call it anything. Like, and honestly, divine is love, compassion, and truth, and courage, and humbleness. All these things that makes something that we see as a great person in society already, as a great human. Those are just aspects of what the divine is. Like, and that in its fullest potential will make you cry if you experience it. Like
Yes, being able to honor that, man, you know.
yeah, for sure. And in my opinion, anyone who wants to find out the truth, you maybe don't agree with me, but if you direct your heart towards God and you want to find the light and you take a heroic dose of psychedelics, either with a shaman or in a safe space or with a trip sitter, you will see the light and you will see all your shit.
Yeah. Again, like, you know, I do honor that for sure. Like, and I believe that, but also like to just turn these lights off and just go within, because we got the, you know, we have natural DMT
For
within our
sure.
pineal gland. So intention is what releases it.
Yeah.
Where your, you know, attention goes, energy flows. So to show up upon your own free will, just like the Masons would say, you can only come upon your own volition. We can't trick you. We can't reach out to you. But when you come to us, we'll show up, we'll meet you there. So, and again, I honor, you know, psychedelics and the work that they're doing, but the integration in everything, you know, of like,
Yeah.
because anytime you need something outside of yourself, that's the thing. Like for those prisoners, like heaven is within you, man. Like those realms that we're experiencing in psychedelics, we're not leaving our body and we're
No,
going
it's just
within.
yeah, for sure. But it's the same as breathing. Breathing is psychedelic too. It's the original psychedelic. Like
If you
our
say it
pioneer.
is, and we know it is, you know, in this, like, you know, everything, it is what you say it is. And to be able to know it, because again, we project this, we project things outside of ourselves to say, oh yeah, when I can get some more mushrooms, then I'm going to have an encounter. And that's what happens. You get mushrooms, you have an encounter. Or you say, you know what, when I get time to go in my room and sit down and pray and meditate and commune, then I'm going to have an encounter. Then the beings will show up to me there. And I can't even blame it on the drugs. I can't even give credit to the
Yeah, for sure.
psilocybin or the LSD. It is. And I'm open to experiencing it in every part of my life. So, you know, it's not to use anything as a crutch, but it is to honor everything, you know, for what it is, and not to abuse anything. And I would say crutch, like the you know, the term sacred, the term holy is that it's set apart. It's different. It's not common. You know, once you do something every day, it becomes a commodity. It becomes a crutch. Like I know people who can't function without reefer, right? Without smoking a joint. They have, and so if they don't get it, they start getting antsy. Oh man, I
Yeah.
got to get it, and they spend their whole day looking for it. The same thing happens with somebody who smokes crack, and they're addicted to crack cocaine and meth, and they're itchy, and they'll steal to get it, they'll lie to get it, they'll travel far and wide to get it, right? And it's just this idea that we need something outside of ourselves. We don't need anything.
No,
Now
but you
we
can
get to,
consume it from gratitude, like
exactly.
even every day. Like just
Yeah, no, you
Con-
can.
you,
Again,
you can be Congo.
creating rules.
Congo is a good example of a Rastaman that smokes all the
For
time and is
sure,
in
for
full.
sure, for
It's just
sure.
like
But
if you start smoking, like, oh, smoke, 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 stress smoke, I just want another joint. But if you before the joint you say Bom Shiva, or you do something where you put your love before the moment, you're already happy in the moment before you consume it.
yeah,
Then you
yeah,
can
but I think that, you know, tying it to the modality, if you will, that unless, like, you know, because there's people who without, um they can only do that if they have a joint. They
yeah,
can't do it without it. They obviously, Congo is a beautiful brother. He'll do that with a glass of water.
yeah, that's what I mean.
He'll
You
do
can
he'll do that with
if you
everything in
know
his
the
life.
game, you can do it with anything.
Exactly, exactly. So we can do that with psilocybin, or we can do that with prayer. We can do that before we go to sleep, to
Yeah,
become lucid and thankful for this day and reflecting upon the day. And so I think that's the goal, again, is to do that, whatever the thing is that you love, to be able to do that with everything in your life,
yeah,
you know, to be thankful for it, to see God in it.
yeah, truly.
Because we're trained to see, like, God is here, but it's not there. That's not God. You know,
Yeah,
Christianity was huge for that. That's not of God. That's not God. God doesn't do that. God doesn't speak through the stars. Want to bet? God doesn't speak through marijuana. Want to bet?
Yeah.
God doesn't do that. So anytime we speak with these absolutes, we find ourselves in trouble. But I really, there's a beauty in the journey to see the divine in it, in all things, our situations, the demons, our enemies, our
Truly.
shortcomings, cancer, things that make us uncomfortable. Um, and that's what it's about. Presence,
Yeah.
being in the moment.
Knowing where you are. That's the thing. Know
And where you
thyself.
came from. Yeah. So again, like I think so I'm cool with everything outside of us, like, but it's about sitting with yourself in silence,
Yeah.
and being okay with that and seeing how sacred that is.
That
And
is
then and
enough.
then that and then that moves to everything else in your life, to a
Yeah.
conversation with somebody, to a good meal with somebody, to a good movie, laughing, telling a joke. Like it goes, see, that gratitude, it begins to permeate everything in your life, and you find yourself thankful. And again, that's how you move from victim to victor. And that's how you become the observer, and life isn't happening to you anymore, it's happening through you,
Yeah.
and you get to experience it that way.
Yeah, that's truly shifting the lens.
Because it's almost like if we're big proponents of like psilocybin, which I am,
Yeah.
but it's like that's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, if they did psilocybin, it'll mess them up. You know what I'm saying? They'll it's just not for them in this life. Now, if they wanted it, if it called
If they
them,
feel
then they
called,
have
yeah.
to do it.
Yeah,
Then they
exactly.
have to do it. That's just how it works. But again, it's a projection to say what somebody needs or what somebody has to do when it's not in their cards, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and we project, just like, hey, you got to come to church, or you got to believe this, or you got to do this, or you got to say this prayer 17 times. I was like, come on, like that worked for you, but it's not necessarily going to work for everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And that is just a part of waking up. And like in the beginning, when you wake up, you just want to tell your way to everybody, like.
For sure, for sure, for sure. I did it. We all did it. Yeah.
And then how long you do that is up to you.
Yeah, I know, right? I've been doing this for 20 years, and so there's levels to it,
But in
because
the
you
end,
keep
it's
learning. You
always
keep
source.
learning.
Like in the
You
end,
learn
it's
something
always
new, and
as
you're
it's
like, I gotta tell
supposed to
everybody.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even all the times we think we failed when we told someone, we planted the seeds exactly like we should have anyway. Just
You
that.
know, I want to move away from telling people, again, proselytizing. Come to my church. Smoke this, eat
Yeah.
that. I don't want to tell you. I want to show you.
Yeah.
I want to show you by the way that I live my life. I want to show you by the way that I treat my dog, and my diet, and the way I treat my body, the way I treat my enemies, the way, so I can show you better than I can tell you. So I think that, we don't need to proselytize. I think that, like, because that's where I come from. Christianity was like, we got to go tell
Hmm.
people. And if you don't tell people, they're not going to get it. But, the way of the monk, right, is like the holy man goes on top of the mountain and seeks enlightenment and has an encounter, and he comes back down with the people, and he doesn't say, everyone listen to me, I have the truth. No, people come to him and say, hey, I want to learn from you.
Yeah.
What is it that you're doing that makes you peaceful? What is it that you're doing that the animals come to you, and the animals aren't afraid of you? What is it, like?
Hmm.
And so it's like people come to you by way of, because your life proves what you believe.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you what I believe and wear a t-shirt or what. Listen, your life, your auric field proves what you believe.
Yeah, you're feeling like what you're feeling, no matter what you do, is the thing you're putting out into the universe.
You can't
And
you can't not do it.
yeah.
You can say one thing and do another, but whatever you're doing, that's your fruit, the fruit of your life. The fruit of that tree is that seed that you planted, and it's gonna come up. Listen, if you're a racist person, racism's gonna come out of you.
Yeah.
You can't hold it in. Again, the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. It's eventually going to come out. I just got to hang around you long enough. Oh, wow, that guy's racist. I thought he was spiritual. Dang, he doesn't like Black people. I know those people. Oh, that guy's bitter. That guy freaks out when he can't pay his bills. when he can't find a joint,
Yeah.
when somebody challenges him, he gets mad. Like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so it's about bringing light to your heart. Let light and love be the abundance of your heart. So that's what comes out. Whatever you put in, whatever you, even, Jesus says it's not what goes into a person that makes them unclean, but what comes out. So
Yeah.
because you can't tell what's going on in somebody's life only by what comes out. And they're going to project. It just takes time.
Yeah,
When you
truly.
put into a situation where all of your spirituality, what all the things you so-called believe is tested. I can tell you I believe all kinds of stuff, but when it's time to test that, you're going to be able to see if I really believe it.
Yeah, for sure. Like
Love your
just
enemies, bless those who curse you. I can tell you that all day until an enemy shows up in my life and you guys see how I treat them, how I respond. Do I get mad? Do I try to tear them down? Do I do videos exposing them? You know what I'm saying? Like little stuff
yeah.
like that can tell, like, hold on, this guy's really insecure. He doesn't know
Yeah.
who he is. He thinks he does, but he doesn't. He's really insecure and he wants people to like him,
Yeah.
you know.
Like
And that's most
truly,
of us.
when we're in our heart, we always want everybody's best, no matter what they do.
Well,
That's
that should be, that is definitely level one for sure. Because some people want you to hurt like they hurt.
yeah, but
Misery
truly,
loves company.
yeah, I understand what you mean. But for me, I feel like when I'm in my heart center, like it doesn't, even if I don't like what they do and stuff, and I don't want them in my life, I should still wish they have the best life possible in
Yeah.
their experience.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I
Well, I know, yeah, you're saying you feel that way, right? But
yeah.
not everybody feels that way, obviously, right? Some people in their heart, they want you to die, they want you to hurt, they want what you've been working for.
But
They
is
want to.
that really their heart center speaking?
Well, it's what they've led into their heart center. It's what they've allowed into that heart gate, the
Yeah.
darkness. They haven't brought light there to expose the deeds that, through trauma or through, some would say past lives or whatever, but whatever you go through in this life, you're carrying the weight of the world and the baggage of what people have done to you and what people have said to you, and so like you said, like if somebody calls you stupid or somebody says you're worthless all your life, most people start believing that because it was spoken over them. And yeah, I'm worthless, I'm nothing, I can do whatever I want to my body, I can do whatever I want to my life because I don't mean anything to anybody.
Yeah.
But that's not truth. That becomes your truth, but I don't think that that's the true reality of who we are, you know
Yeah,
in
for
the eyes
sure.
of the creator. But we project that, we carry that because we've allowed those words to come into our heart. It comes into our minds and it seeps into our heart and it seeps into our stomach, and everything that we do is permeated with that touch of I'm not worthy. I mean, that's where self-sabotage comes from. That's where, somebody will give you a promotion on the job and you don't want to take it because you don't feel like you deserve it.
Yeah.
It's like, where does that come from? No, you're a good worker, man. People love you and you're great we want to give you a raise. And like these inner thing of like it, because of what you've experienced, you
Yeah.
project it. But
Yeah.
maybe that raise, maybe someone seeing the best in you allows you to transmute it. Like, hey, maybe I'm
Yeah.
not worthless after all. Maybe there is some things that I do good. So little deeds, man, help us to
Yeah.
transmute that.
Yeah, for sure. It's truly like what you always come back to, what we've been saying, is being grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
Before you're grateful for what you have, you will not even get anything else than suffering and thinking you're
Mm.
gonna reach somewhere or chase your own tail for a really long time.
Yeah.
Because if you're not grateful for what you have, you're not appreciating the present moment. Like,
Yeah. That's where darkness and lack come in. They serve a purpose. Again, you don't appreciate the light. Like you don't appreciate a good friend until you've had a bad friend. You don't appreciate a good meal unless you're hungry.
yeah,
Unless you don't appreciate money unless you had to work hard for it and get it. So there's whatever it takes for you to find that gratitude, is key.
Yeah, for sure. And it can be found in so many things, like music, for example. Like you're like you can just listen to a good tune and really lose yourself in it and be like, it's so amazing that people even express their heart and soul like this, and just feel gratitude for that. Or you can feel it while you're eating a meal or drinking a water. Like you can really find the divine in everything you do.
Yeah, if you're looking for it, for sure. But if
Yeah,
you're looking for the negative, you can find it as well, right? You can
yeah,
find what's wrong. You can find why I hate this place. And uh, one man's trash is another man's treasure,
for
you know?
sure. If you have direct experience with oneness, at least for me, after I had a direct experience with oneness, I would never hate anyone again. Everyone's me.
Yeah,
Like everyone's God. Like so, hating someone is hating myself, no matter what
yep,
it is, even objects and things and
yeah,
everything. At least that's
yep.
how I feel. And like,
No, you're right. But you know, we got to help people get there. You know, we got to, you know, use these analogies and things that have, you know, how we got there. Obviously, we didn't start there. You know,
no,
there
for
was
sure not. There was a lot of
we
hate.
started. You know, that's you know that could be that's a pretty high level of light. Like that's a pretty high. You had to go through. You had to pass through a lot of veils to be there. You know,
Yeah,
um, and not everybody's there. Not everybody's passed through that veil. But I think just articulating it and showing it through a song or through just through
yeah,
life, like it lets people know that something greater is available, something beautiful, you know.
yeah. And anyone can find it at any moment. Like it, anyone could be finding it while we're speaking right now. Like you
Yeah,
can, you don't have to go sit and meditate. Like you can literally find that peace in anything, everywhere. And I'm not saying don't sit and meditate, please do. Like I'm
yeah,
saying like don't get stuck to this thing that something is not meditation.
yep,
Everything is meditation all the time. And that is like you don't even have to do something magical. Like you can go for a walk and look at the sun or the stars or the trees or something simple, watch a river. Those things really, like nature really gets you into the present moment. Even thoughts
yep.
like, oh, this is so beautiful, oh, this, that's starting the gratitude in your heart. And you just feed it, feed it, feed it. And then you can see it in everything.
Yeah, it really is huge, and everything really is birthed out of that. Everything good anyway is
Yeah,
birthed out of gratitude, being thankful, being content with whatever you have, little as much. You know, whenever you apply that gratitude in it, it's the law of multiplication, it's thanksgiving. um you know, being thankful for what you have, it's so huge.
yeah. And before, like, also before you even can run your mind, you first have to be able to observe your mind completely, like it's not you, like
Yeah,
no identification, just the witness. And that doesn't mean you'll never create or be the mind again. It just means that to not know where the source of your mind is the suffering, because
that's
it
it.
always longing for home. It always wants to get to the next thing because that's gonna feel good or that felt worse. It's always judging and saying this is important and that's not important, in duality all the time, and longing to get to non-dual awareness.
Yeah, it's oneness, man.
Yeah.
Oneness with everything, you know, with the demon, with the angel, and everything in between, you
Yeah.
know.
And I'm truly a Rasta man at heart. Like I know I've been a Rasta several lifetimes. Like ganja is God, like 100%. Like no matter what anyone says. When I've been in source on big trips on acid, when I've truly been in my higher self, I held like weird speeches in Swedish, like God loves acid and hash. It's the fucking best. Like God loves everything, no matter what. Like holding big speeches. I think I'm speaking to the whole world, but I'm just on a mountain somewhere. Like
You are, man. Something is watching you, you know.
yeah,
Someone is watching you, you know.
yeah, for
The
sure.
spirits, the ancestors.
True that. Always here.
Good.
So I don't even know how long we've been doing this. It doesn't say how long I'm recording. Do you have any clue?
It's like right over an hour or so.
Do you feel like you have anything more you want to share? Like something you want to put out, something of your music? Like I'm gonna link all your things in the
For sure, for
description and
sure.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I would say just, people want to look more into my work or into my music again. It's you go to truthseekah.com, truth seekah.com. And I wrote a book about a lot of this stuff that I'm speaking about. It's in my music, it's on my podcast, blogs, and just trying to find ways to get this information out and, you know, just for people to encounter, man. Creativity is huge. Like we are, made in the image and likeness of God, which is a creator that created all of this stuff. So
Yeah,
we're little creators as well. So we get to create, and people get to experience what is within us,
yeah, truly.
just as we get to experience what is within God.
Yeah,
And that is demons. That is the Grand Canyon. That is hugging a tree. That is marijuana. That is psilocybin. That is sitting in silence. Like we're fearfully and wonderfully made in a way that our bodies respond to everything. So everything is a beautiful spiritual experience for those who
yeah,
want it to be.
yeah, truly. Amen to that. And thank you for coming on like this. I both enjoyed the conversation. I'm happy to talk to you, get a face to your music and everything.
For
It's
sure,
really,
man.
really cool to connect. And
Yeah,
I'm sure this will, no matter what, put more light out in the world, like
for
100%.
sure, for sure. Thanksgiving, man, being mindful of everything, of every moment.
Ashe.
If you have or if you have not, your making peace with your past,
Yeah,
making peace with the present is making peace with the future. Greater things are coming to you. Good things are coming to you if you want them to, if you expect them, if you cultivate your garden for those things to grow. You got to give it space to grow. You
yeah,
got to let go of some of that heaviness. You got to get rid of some of that baggage, some of that bondage, some of that disbelief, so that there's room for new stuff to come into your life. Again, with ascension, I feel like there's levels to all of this. And
yeah,
there's stuff that we're dealing with on the low level that we can't bring with us up high because our hands are full. So God in the universe is trying to give us new stuff. We're dropping
yeah,
it,
yeah,
so we got to let go of stuff that we don't want, make an assessment,
yeah. Make
see
space
the
for
life that you want to
opportunities.
live,
Yeah,
make space.
yeah,
And that's what mindfulness does. That's what meditation does. That's what the teachers are telling you. Hey man, be mindful, be in the moment.
yeah.
That's it.
If you truly decide in the now, like what you truly want has technically already happened.
It's in
And
you. What you need
but
is inside of you.
yeah,
It's not out there.
yeah. The
Appreciate it,
decision.
brother. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me, man.
Thank you, brother. It's amazing to have
Shalom.
you on. Much love, one love. Talk to you in the future, I hope.
Yes, sir. We'll do it again. Thank you so much.
Peace.
Peace.